Welcome aboard everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Zilliqa is our topic in this video. That is ZIL on the exchange, ZIL. Before we go into the chart, guys, some awesome news coming out of Zilliqa today, certainly in the gaming world. So obviously there's a lot of big talk around about these days of NFTs and play to earn, but for sure, Ninjas in Pyjamas, absolute gigantic esports team. I've known about them for a number of years now through esports partnerships that I've had in the past, not with Ninjas in Pyjamas, but certainly with some of their competitors like Team Dignitas, for example, and a couple of others over the years. So when I saw this news earlier today, I was like, wow, that's quite amazing achievement to have this kind of partnership. So there's a couple of aspects of this really. One, the awareness program that Zilliqa will get out of this. I think research did quite recently in esports, but I think Ninjas Pyjamas, they've had quite a good amount of prize pool money from tournaments over the years. I think just over 300 games, something like 6 million or so in terms of winnings. Gaming, guys, by the way, if you're new to esports or gaming, just go and check out a few stats pages and things like that. And I did mention this previously in a different video, but I do have a passion for gaming, of course. Go and check out or try and find a documentary on ESL. Really fascinating to see the history of gaming in esports aspect of LANs, internet cafes back in the day, and how that transpired to what it is today. Full stadiums and millions and millions and millions of people watching people playing games and streaming and this, that and the other through Twitch and all other sorts of platforms. But so Zilliqa have done a really good thing here, because obviously one of their key aspects of their ecosystem is try and push in the NFT aspect and utilizing their smart contract infrastructure to help improve the NFT structure of things like know your customer, the verification process, all these kind of cool things that you get in the kind of blockchain protocols these days. So absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure how much this partnership was worth, but from an awareness perspective for Zilliqa, so the two parties will also cooperate on branding for the jerseys and the events. So absolutely fantastic. Of course, these tournaments, so guys, I've been to many through work and everything in the past, ESL ones, Comic Cons where they've had ESLs in place. You've got like multiplayer by game, so the game retailer in the UK, they own a company, or owned by a company called Multiplay. I think they're still based in New Forest, actually. I did have an interview with them once about 4 or 5 years ago, which was a really cool experience, even though I didn't get it. But it was really cool to see that world and how people operate within that system. But going back to the point, games like CSGO, so Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six, absolutely phenomenal online games. I mentioned in a video recently that I sold my Xbox about 6 months ago in anticipation of getting the new one, and simply can't get my hands on it because of supply chain issues and this, that and other. But Rainbow Six was by far my favourite game. Had it since day one in 2015, I think. So I know all about that game and what it means to the esports world. You go and watch some Rainbow Six, Counter-Strike, Go. CSGO is free, actually. I think you can still download it for free on things like Steam and get involved in that. But go and watch some games online, and especially on Twitch or through YouTube, and you'll realise how many people are watching this 24/7, and the power, and especially the tournaments. I'm talking about tournaments where you've got like in excess these days of like $10 million prize pools and stuff like that. Incredible amounts of money flying about. So it's really good for the branding of Zilliqa to be involved on jerseys. And we're talking about things like when these players are on tournaments, having that visibility, as well as things like they say here in pop-up events and things like that. So it's really cool in that aspect. But also from the other side of things, what is Zilliqa getting out of this is the awareness, and then vice versa. Zilliqa will be helping NIP, which is this shortfall of naming right of Ninja in Pyjamas, is the coin offering, the sort of fan token aspect, but also moving into things like NFTs. And of course, as the gaming goes into blockchain, as we learned today, for example, Facebook really pushing the metaverse theory out there, a whole play to earn aspect of earning while you're playing. being able to encourage influence in games and voting and all of this cool stuff that will really take gaming to another level and even more engagement than ever before. But it's really cool to see this, and it's just another addition to Zilliqa's fantastic work towards the gaming industry. But I thought I'd just throw that in there. It's really big news, and a multitude of media outlets picking up on this, of course. So even here from the NIP website, talking about blockchain and the leadership of Zilliqa in this space, and then what they're looking to plan to do in terms of NFTs and the gaming industry in general, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of this and the aspect of how it will develop and evolve, both in the gaming world and with this partnership as well. And I think what else is good is this awareness campaign of people going, oh, Zilliqa, what's that? There's a multitude of people, I think it's a ridiculous number of well over 90% of the population don't even invest in crypto yet. So to get this kind of basis in the advertising will just encourage more people to come into the space, or certainly find out about the tokenomics and how this works, and actually how does the cryptoverse and the metaverse coincide together. So I think it's really cool to see this kind of development. And there's a couple of other things as well. Zilliqa, there's a couple of people in comments recently about Zilliqa being dead. Well, not really the case. It's just it's had a big year this year so far already in the mainnet launches and things like that. We've got loads of other things coming for Zilliqa. Of course, we've got the smart contract improvements aspect as well. The mainnet will continuously be upgraded and updated. I would like to see from them a bit more of an update on this roadmap. This last update was in April. So it would be nice if they encouraged a bit more engagement with the community and a bit more engagement with potential shareholders and partners as to, what are the actual updates. Of course, we've got a lot of information recently about the Zilliqa bridge into various swap mechanisms on the Zilliqa platform, which we covered in, I think it was the last video or the video before this, the last one. But there's still some outstanding things here. For example, the layer 2 infrastructure in terms of the computing laying and helping with the sharding mechanism and all these cool things to develop the blockchain, and its infrastructure to hold more and more transactions, more interoperability with other projects as well. So yeah, that's the only downside I have about the roadmap and a bit of the information coming out of Zilliqa in recent months. But no one's perfect, guys. These guys are doing a great job in other areas. Sometimes it's quite easy, and I speak from experience, whether you've got a small or a big team, to keep things maintained on 24/7 on every single element and channel and communication that you have is quite difficult. Now, Zilliqa, of course, as retail investors, of course, we are playing an element of a big part of their history and their forthgoings into the future. But ultimately, they're majorly not really here for our benefit as such. I mean, I know they'd like to be, but their benefit is obviously mainly in the B2B sectors and what they're trying to achieve with partners. But either way, I think the roadmap is important for both aspects and both tiers of the society in that perspective. So really interested to see what occurs moving forward. And then finally, I just wanted to pinpoint a couple of other things. So we've got here, for example, back in May and June when we looked at the Gucci stuff. So they're doing a lot of things around NFTs, and this kind of takes on from these points here. So go and check this out if you haven't read it yet. It's a few days old, but taking opulence online, how blockchain is beckoning luxury brands. So Max Cantella talks about the NFTs, and it's very much around Zilliqa's influence in the luxury markets, as well as, you talk about NFTs. When we go into metaverse and stuff, guys, what I mean by this is like when you're an actual avatar, imagine walking around in like designer outfits and this, that, and the other. It would probably make a real difference as to terms of your status and aspect in these kind of games and worlds. But also things like taking things like to events. NFTs don't just go into games. They can be things like you could go to a designer event or something like this and pick up very limited edition NFT versions of things or virtual items that eventually one day you could bring into the gaming world. But more importantly, it's like an asset, it's a collectible. I'm a collector, and I talk about this openly in multitude of videos about my Pokemon cards and stuff like that, all my old Nintendos, Atari systems, all of these things I've got for years and years since I was a kid, and I kept hold of them. One, I like to play them every now and then. Two, I just love it. I just love that never letting go of some of the roots and the things that made you who you are. and what are part of you. And I love collecting them. And this is no different in the designer world. Having been to many catwalks, and it sounds a bit random, but again, through partnerships with work, it's an absolutely fascinating world. And I even started watching, various documentaries of Gucci and YSL. I can't remember how to actually say the name. Louis Vuitton as well. What's the Alexander McQueen? I even went to one of his exhibitions. Obviously, he's not with us, unfortunately, anymore. But his exhibition was phenomenal. And I kind of stood there and was like, this isn't something that appeals to me like something I would go and buy or be interested in like wearing, but I understood the concept and why people would be interested in it. And the emphasis of the marketplace. So it just opened my eyes here. This little article is really nice to read this about their energy into other areas, especially like in musicians, painters, artists. They made a good reference here about Picasso, about he was selling money to selling paintings or giving away paintings to try and live, and now when he passed away, all those hundreds, however long ago it was, of course everyone pays millions of dollars for all these paintings. And it's like, imagine back in the day he was able to be paid that. And of course blockchain helps the unbankable be bankable, and it helps people who are not registered with banks or monetary systems to be in this area. So it's all good, guys, and that's why I believe in Zilliqa. I think it's not just about a price point in the chart. It's about what is the mechanism behind it. How can this help the world moving forward? And I think there's a lot of people, not just in finance or musicians or paintings, but people who produce things, produce food, produce art, all of these great things that people take for granted. And some of these people don't even get a look in when it comes to being paid or acknowledged for their work. That time has come to change that. So thank you, Zilliqa, for all the work you've been doing. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this bit of an intro. Let's jump into the chart and see where we are. Smash that like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing or hearing. Or if you're hearing it, maybe on the radio or something, then you probably can't smash the like button. So don't do that when you're driving. I know some people do that. We have had requests from people to shout out prices as we talk about them in the charts, because they are listening to them in the car, which is really cool. It's nice to let us know where you listen to our videos. I'm really interested to know, but please do not tell us while you're driving or anything stupid like that. Pull over if you have to, if it's that important. But guys, let's look at this chart. So Zilliqa right now has been a bit of movement since the last video. It's been on a bit of a downward trend, but what's interesting is it's touched a couple of buy opportunities that we put in a few videos back. So it's quite interesting to see these touch points being hit, all these areas. The 0.87 mark, 8.7 cents, if you like, was a real interesting area for me in quite a substantial amount of times in the past as well. I was just getting notifications all the time, especially a few months ago, of like, Zilliqa has gone under 8.7 cents. And it was literally like all day, every day for like 3 or 4 days. So it was interesting to see it come back to that area again. But what I do find is that it's almost confirming to us that those kind of confirmations of support areas are definite now. And we're starting to like push up. It's almost like, can we just check one more time, please? Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Yeah, cheers, guys. And then we've done that, come back up, couldn't quite get the support up here at the 10-cent mark, and we come back down again. So we're floating around this 9 cents mark at the moment, 0.093 as of recording. So what I would say positively, guys, is if you remember we drew in this funnel and this kind of previous trend line that we're trying to aim for, we're well within that. And I'd say we're in the lower spectrum of that, and we could arguably be getting support over this current line around 9 cents and then starting to push up gradually as these weeks go by. A couple of observations here on the MACD. We're still just about in that bullish momentum. We tried to come down and switch over. So there is a chance, guys, because I don't understand why people keep saying Zilliqa's not doing anything. We've had this nice move, and we checked this over in the last video, 43% up in a matter of a week or so. And that's a really good move. It's a really strong move for something that's still early, guys. Zilliqa is still early. For me, I'm holding Zilliqa and staking Zilliqa for the future. I'm not trading this. I'm holding it until at least the 24, 25 year or something like that, because I believe in it. I believe what it's going to become. I'm not massively fussed about what happens this year, although I do believe we will get good gains out of it, for sure. We're nowhere near that 25-cent previous all-time high that we saw around March, April time. Got plenty of movement in the tank from now to then. And how many opportunities, guys, do we want around these lower regions? because I guarantee to you, whether it be in a couple months time or 6 months time or whenever that might be in the future, you'll be looking back at these prices and going, wow, I wish I got more. It'll be that same old story that majority of people out there go along with their minds going, oh, do you know, I wish I got more. And then they look back and go, oh, it used to be 10 cents at this price. Imagine if you got so many at that time. But you are here now today with those opportunities. It's not financial advice, guys. I'm just from experience already in the short space of time that I've been investing. I've learned this already. I'm sure many of you out there have done the same. So I think anything around these kind of areas, obviously lower would have been amazing. But certainly this 8.7 and around anything under 10 cents for Zilliqa, in my opinion, is an absolute steal. So we are on this lower spectrum of the funnel here. I do anticipate trying to gain the support at this 9.3 cent mark, roughly around this area, maybe over a 2-3 day period, and jump ourselves up to 9.5 to 10. Not in a massively short period of time, but certainly gradually. I think Zilliqa is a bit of a slow mover when it comes to this sort of thing. But the observations here on the MACD, we had the big sell-off period, we had a bit of a buy-in. Will we get a reflective period like we did here in the middle of 18th September when we thought, oh, it might be tailing off into a good news here, but we had a bit more of a tail off. So it could be that we're just structuring a support mechanism here before we take off a bit more. I'm just curious to see, and I will do an update video on Zilliqa over the next 24-48 hours, because this key critical area in the next 2-3 days, in my opinion, is what matters, because this will confirm whether we go into a switch over mode for a bit more of a sell-off. I really can't see too much of that happening, because I think we're already at kind of low levels, and we've had good support mechanisms in the past with Zilliqa at these areas. So I'd be very surprised, and it would sort of go against our kind of trend aspect here. This isn't saying that I'm fully accurate on this. What I'm suggesting is that over a period of time, across multitude of charts, obviously Zilliqa is different to other projects. Of course, you can't look at it always in that way, but towards Bitcoin's movements, for example, you do anticipate new higher lows each time. So I'm very interested to see if we bounce around this area and then tail back up to these middle points to try and get to that 10 cent mark or above properly by the end of October. And it sounds a bit mental to talk about 1 cent movement in a 2-week period, but I do think we're in this instability mode of people being still unsure, and it's a bit of a last shakeout, in my opinion, for the weak hands, and will leave all the holders like myself here ready, and arguably taking some more accumulation in these lower regions. When I get paid in a few days' time, I will definitely be adding Zilliqa. I love the staking that I have on the Zilliq wallet. I can't remember how much it is now, 14% or something. Maybe it's less than that, I can't remember, but it's good for sure to be adding free stuff. Let the money do the work for you. So guys, like I said, in fact, like one last point actually, or a couple of last points. The RSI floating around 47. I do think that could possibly come down to maybe a 45 to 40 mark in the next day or two before a take up. That would be a fantastic opportunity to jump in. Of course, there might have been an opportunity on the 12th of October. I'm sure if we look on a 4-hourly chart, that would definitely probably jump down to 40 or so. But on the weekly and the monthly, we're still down. And the 3 months we're up still slightly. 6 months still and takes the drop off here back in the May-June time. But year to date is just hovering. It's hovering over a positive number, in my opinion, 13% year to date, but 374% on the year, which is really interesting to see. So it has had some relatively good growth. I was fortunately buying Zilliqa myself at around 1 or 2 cents, I think, back in the beginning. And it has had some good moves. I think we're just seeing a slow moving project here. It's all about the roadmap. If they update the roadmap, I think that would build a lot of confidence in the project again from a retail investor perspective. But like I said, I'm here for the long run with Zilliqa. I'm holding the bag strong. I will add to it as and when I can. And for me, I'm not trading this personally, but if you are trading, of course, you might be becoming a bit impatient, but I will just say, stay in there, guys. Trust me. Not financial advice, but from what I've learned about Zilliqa and known for Zilliqa for a while now, especially with the things that we are seeing on a daily basis from Zilliqa, it's definitely worth holding on to, in my opinion. Keep strong hands. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Are you holding, staking, selling? What are you doing? And let us know where you are listening, how you are listening to this channel or watching. Guys, we'll wrap that up there. I'm going to see you hopefully in the next 24-48 hours with another Zilliqa update. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.